Hi, Ron. It's great to meet you, and thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. It's my pleasure. I appreciate you bringing me on your channel, Joseph.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you coming on. Ron, before we dive in, can you tell me a bit about yourself and how you discovered carnivore? How did it all started for you?
Well, if I go far enough back, I even as a child, I was probably larger than most adults as far as weight is concerned. For the last 30 plus years, I've been in the 440 to 450 pound category. And my weight shot up to 472. In spite of that, I was fairly physically active until I'd say maybe around the early in my early 60s. I started having problems with joint issues and stuff. Walking kind of. I used to walk quite a bit, but I had to stop doing it just because of pain. I developed arthritis and also carpal tunnels, which I don't know your audience knows. I'm not a very I'm not a professional musician, but I am a musician, and I also am a composer. And so, like if I played the guitar, I could maybe play one song, and then that was it. I couldn't. My hand couldn't take it anymore. So I ended up switching over to piano, which I had lessons a long time ago. Anyway, I was watching a lot of YouTube because of my music channel, and I watched a video with Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson, and he was talking about how he would lose about 7 pounds a month just eating meat only. So that intrigued me, and of course, then the YouTube algorithms start throwing up, Dr. Berg, Dr. Berry, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Westman, Dr. Bosworth, on and on. The list goes on and on. So I really became intrigued. But what happened was 2 years ago at Easter, uh, my buddy came over. He had been not really eating the carnivore diet, but like a meat based, mostly meat, trying to avoid carbs. And he had lost about 40 pounds in a very short period of time. And so when they left, went home, I told my wife, I'm going to try the carnivore diet. And so that's basically what happened, how I got into it. My wife was getting ready to go visit her family in the Philippines. And so before she left, she was supportive of the idea. She sorted all the meat and everything that we had in the freezer into like one area of the freezer. It says, okay, and of course it was starting to get warm out, and so I had a grill, and I'm pretty good at grill. I've been grilling for decades. So I had steaks and hamburgers and some sausages, and she said, "Well, there's your food while I'm gone," And then she went and bought some bottled water and bought several dozen eggs for me to have in the fridge. So because at that time I was pretty much immobile as far as going into the store. I mean, I could drive and I could get around the house, but I'd go into the store and I basically get to maybe about halfway through the store, and it's like, okay, I got to go back to the car and get off my knees. They just can't take this anymore. So she had that all set for me. Had plenty of food for the 3 weeks that she was gone, and so that worked out very well. So I don't know if you have any other questions. I have a list of symptoms here that have gone away. If you'd like to hear those. Okay. So after 3 weeks of being on the carnivore diet, I was off my blood pressure medicine. My joint pain and tendonitis was gone. my carpal tunnels. I also have blood clots in both legs. They call it DVT, deep vein thrombosis. And those are getting better. They're still there. And I'm still taking blood thinners for that. But the color in the legs is beginning to come closer to normal instead of the purplish red that they've been for several years now. Actually, the one leg I've had the clot there for over 30 years. Anyway, my weight, I've lost 245 pounds so far. And so my pant size went from a size 64 to a size 42. My shirts, I went from a 6XL to an L. My BMI was a 69, now it's a 33. And my waist to height ratio was 0.9, now it's 0.59 as the last measurement that I took. So that's pretty much my story. I'm mobile again. I go walking. I'm planning to buy a bike this spring and start biking again. I always loved biking, even at my heaviest weight, when I could. But that all ended about a decade ago. So I'm getting back into it again. So that's my story in a nutshell.
Wow, Ron, that's amazing. I feel like it's really cool, once you switch to carnivore and then you had all these changes, like to your body, a lot of health benefits and how your body pretty much responded like that. That's pretty cool. I mean, you mentioned earlier about your friend who did the carnivore and how you pretty much got into it. Did you had like any specific, because you mentioned a lot of health issues, got better, and you had a carpal tunnel and weight issues before carnivore. Did you had any specific issue that you wanted to address why you went to carnivore?
Primarily the weight and the mobility. That was my primary reason for getting into it. I forgot to mention and you forget about these. I had other kind of minor symptoms too that have really. My wife mentions how much easier it is. I used to she could hear me breathing when I go up the stairs or walk around. She could hear my lungs. I didn't even notice it. But she says, you breathe so much easier. I also forgot. I said, geez, I used to get skin tags. They're all gone, completely gone. And actually, this was pretty gray. It's now returning to the brown that my hair used to be. There's still some gray in it, but it's almost like I call it the diet of youth, I guess I could call it, and so those are things that you don't even think about. And also, I used to the other week I saw they had a floater going in my left eye, and I said, geez, I forgot. I hadn't seen a floater in months in my eye. So they're almost completely gone. Once in a while, one comes in, but, and that's something usually they consider age related. But it's interesting how those things kind of disappear without you even thinking about it.
Yeah, that's another awesome thing. I mean, I have a list I wrote down here, like you had joint pain getting better. You have deep pain, thrombosis, tendinitis. You have a list of benefits here. That's really a great thing about carnivore. When you noticed the changes, was it something that happened gradually, or did you notice them like instantly?
Well, I noticed 3 weeks into the carnivore diet, I was on blood pressure medicine, Loprinocil, and I noticed in about the 3rd week of the diet, before my wife got back from her trip to see her family, my blood pressure was so low, and I said, I got to stop taking the BP medicine. And so I did that, and my blood pressure returned to normal. It's like 120 over 70. And a lot of times now it's even like, 110 over 60. And I noticed my resting pulse used to be around 70. Now, sometimes, a lot of times, it's like 60 or 58, even when I'm sitting and resting. And just there has been some adjustments because my body composition is so different now. I sometimes have a balance issue because I don't have all that weight hanging on my rear end to compensate. And it's like, okay, well, like when I go hug my wife, she can pull me over. Like, what? Before, it's like, she couldn't budge the 400 plus pound mass. And that's the other thing that she's kind of, she goes, I can get my arms all the way around you now. She said, I couldn't do that before. So there's a lot of, I guess you call side benefits and stuff that you don't even think about until they kind of hit you, like, oh, geez, I don't have that problem anymore. I also used to was on a CPAP machine. Well, I was actually kind of afraid to stop using it. I was so accustomed to putting that mask on to fall asleep. It's like, and then again, my wife would mention, said, you make a lot of noise during the night. Well, the CPAP was blowing the air back out through my mouth. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to try sleeping without it. I did it on a weekend when my wife was home. So if I stopped breathing, somebody was there. And it was no problem. So I could have stopped a lot earlier, but I was, 90 some weeks into my diet when I actually stopped using the mask. So yeah, I'm week 105. So I'm a little over 2 years now, carnivore. And I don't make claims to being the perfect carnivore. I, falter once in a while. But pretty much I stay with it. I do have okay, for example, for Easter, I had green beans. Okay. The irony of that is that when I was in high school, green beans became my favorite vegetable. And I think about it, and the reason they became my favorite vegetable is because in high school, the cafeteria would cook them in butter. So I thought that's kind of ironic. I loved green beans, not because of the beans, but because of the butter. So I have that occasionally. And I also, if I have a sausage, which I don't very often, or a hot dog, again, those are something maybe I'll have once every 4 or 5 months. I'll have some sauerkraut with it, So fermented cabbage, it's a little deviation from carnivore, but it's still low carb and it's still healthy. I also and this I actually have all the time. I make carnivore ice cream with allulose as a sweetener. So it's one of these diets I go and I said, geez, I can have a T-bone steak followed by ice cream. What a diet is that,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you mentioned a couple of things here, like the food, like green beans. I mean, and also ice cream. Were those your favorite food before going carnivore?
Uh, not really. I mean, the green beans were my favorite vegetable, but I was never a big fan of vegetables. And I never was a big fan of fruit either. And it's funny, I remember looking, even before carnivore, I'd look at the calories in a can of Pepsi or Coke, and I look at the calories in a serving of apple juice or cranberry juice, and I go, okay, there's just as many or more calories and more sugar in the fruit juice than there is in the Pepsi. How is that for an irony for you? It's like, okay. And so I noticed that. So I was like, I would drink a lot of Pepsi. That was my real addiction. And I actually did a video on my channel on how I broke that addiction. But because the first week or two of carnivore, I was still drinking Pepsi. That was the hardest one to give up. So
Wow. I'm gonna check that out. It's on your channel, right? So I'm gonna go
yeah.
check that out. Um, Ron, so with all the health issues you've had like in the past, can you walk me through like your motivation in life in general before and after carnivore? Like maybe is there like a strong difference now that with carnivore like this all this like oozing like positivity like outlook in life, and then compared to like before you were carnivore, was there like a much like a big difference?
Oh yeah, huge. You have never caught me on camera like this. I can tell you that for sure. Uh, I um uh, I would work behind the camera. Matter of fact, I took photography in college, and so I have a dark room collecting dust in the basement because everything's gone digital now. But and I also, as I said, I'm a composer. I still am a composer. I think my compositions have gotten better though, and I enjoy introducing my compositions, and I enjoy doing these videos now about my diet. And maybe I do some things a little bit more than just my diet on my channel as well. But um, I remember thinking before carnivore, basically I still had music composition and playing music on the piano, but I spent a good portion of my day watching television. And I kept thinking, I'm glad I'm a short timer. I was in my late 60s, and I said, well, if something happened to me or I passed away, it's been a good run. But now I'm going and with doing the channel and exercising, I'm thinking, well, am I going to still be doing this at 120? I hope so. So that's the huge difference. And again, you would never have caught me on this side of the camera before. I mean, rarely. I was looking back trying to find some of my quote unquote fat pictures. And I had to really look because there weren't many pictures that I was in or videos that I was in. But I did find some, and I use some of those as thumbnails occasionally. And it's a huge difference. I mean, when you're down 245 pounds, uh, it's noticeable. Matter of fact, last Easter, my wife had some of her friends over, and so there were several women that came over, and I had my friend who I mentioned before that kind of got me into carnivore. Him and his wife came over. Well, I received more hugs that Easter than I think than I probably did in my single life before I was married. They all had to give the new Ron a big hug, and they wrapped their arms around me and squeeze, and I'm like, okay, this is a different experience.
That's pretty cool. I think you mentioned your wife was from the Philippines. And what does your wife thinks about it? Because I know in Philippines, I'm Filipino also. I came from the Philippines,
Oh,
and I'm very familiar with the food culture over there. So, what does your
yeah.
wife thinks about the whole carnivore thing? Yeah.
Well, she's happy. Right now she's waiting to get implants, in her teeth. So she can't really chew anything. So again, what's the saying? Rice is life. That's what they're saying in the Philippines. I'm a little familiar with the culture, being all my in-laws are Filipino, and uh, I think I'm Uncle Ron to about half the island of Iloilo. I think it's kind of I'm basically an only child, so the idea that I have so many nieces and nephews, I have some cousins, on my side of the family, but pretty much, not having a brother or sister, um, it's a relatively small family for me on my side. But in some ways, I feel very close to the Filipino. If I can say this about the Filipinos, I'm just totally impressed with the culture as far as family orientation, and they're just like very accepting of me. Even when I was 470 pounds, they didn't care. That didn't matter to them. And so I don't know. They're great people. That's all I can say. I married into a great family, and of course, the Filipino culture. When you marry a Filipino, you marry the family. That's and again, and that's something I didn't realize until after I got married. But it's been a great joy to them. They're really happy for me, and they'll give me thumbs ups on my videos and everything. They're just very supportive.
Wow, that's really awesome to hear. Yeah, I'm very familiar with the culture. I think you mentioned earlier about the rice is life. I think that is a big saying in the Philippines, and also I think there's another saying. It's called Putok Batok. I'm sure they're familiar when it comes to high fatty foods, like meats with high fatty foods. I think they usually signal that this is very dangerous to consume if you consume a lot. But yeah, that's awesome. Ron, looking back at the start of your carnivore journey, did you ever had like mistakes before? I mean, during your carnivore test, or how did you learn from them?
I'm not quite sure how to answer that question. What you're getting to here. I'll try and answer that in what I think you mean. Um, yeah, as far as blood tests, my cholesterol shot up, and actually at my last doctor's visit, I got a call back from the nurse. They wanted to put me on a statin, and I told the nurse who called me. I said, I predicted that because they have the portal. You can see what your blood tests are, and that was basically the only thing that was way out of whack was my cholesterol. So I knew they were going to try to put me on a statin. Well, you have the right to refuse treatment. And I just said to the nurse, I said, I know you're going to want to put me on a statin. And I said, I very respectfully refuse to do that. So don't bother writing the prescription. And so basically they said, okay, that was it. You look at that, when you see these videos and stuff, you look at the studies on taking statins, and it's like, okay, you increase your life expectancy by 4 days. Is that worth all the side effects? No, I don't think so.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. Did you ever had the moment of doubt, like before starting it, like maybe, hey, you know what? I think I'm gonna get a heart attack if I do this, but I want to fix my weight issues. Did you ever had like doubts?
On and off. I kind of, when I first got started, yeah, there was quite a bit of weight loss very quickly, and I said, okay, is this going to be like another yo-yo diet? Like I've been on. I could say that I've lost thousands of pounds and gained them back over the course of my life, doing all kinds of stuff like peeling the skin off a chicken and eating chicken breast with no skin, stuff like that, doing Weight Watchers with the points system. So many diets I've been on. So I was a little bit worried that, okay, is this just going to be another disappointment? And so I watched channels like yours with the testimonials, Dave's Max channel. I was saying, you know what, this looks like it's going to really work. The biggest issue that I had when I started the diet was just the opposite of what most people had, and that was constipation. Basically, what I figured out later on is that I was just not salting my food enough. I was used to, like, okay, you don't want to put a lot of salt on your food. That's bad for your heart, right? And which is totally opposite of the truth. I eventually got that solved, and I started, drinking hydration fluid and adding a lot more salt, which I really like the taste of, to my food, and staying hydrated. I still lean toward being a little bit tight at that end, but it's improved a lot, and I increased my butter intake, and I cook in lard or tallow when I cook eggs, and my wife will also do what we call carnivore chicken, which is, instead of breading, she dips the chicken in eggs and then covers it with crushed pork rinds. So that's a real treat sometimes. And also I've done a country fried steak with the pork rinds. Anything that needs breading, you use crushed pork rinds. I mean, it's great. But my favorite is probably a steak on the grill when I cook outside. Unfortunately, in the wintertime, I bought a Ninja, and I use that in the wintertime. So, we do air fried. And then I also have a recipe. Actually, I recorded my wife making these beef strips out of roast, cutting them into strips like jerky, and then marinating them for a couple days in the fridge, and then air frying them until they're almost black. Those things are absolutely delicious. They use a little bit of allulose with it to sweeten it, in the marinade. And so the food is just so incredibly good. It's like, do I miss other stuff? Well, I used to eat pizza every week, and quite frankly, I haven't had the urge for a pizza, and I couldn't tell you how long. And I don't even know if I'd like it anymore if I tried eating one again. But I might have one in a couple of years or something. I don't know. But I don't think I'm going to get hooked again, because I feel so good on this diet. It's just actually I keep referring to it as a diet, but I really mean it's a lifestyle. It's just a way of eating, and for the most part, for the last 2 years, I've done OMOD. I did have a little bit setback recently this week. I started gaining weight, even though I was on OMOD, and I figured out, you know what, I'm not eating enough, and I'm probably undernourished, and that's why my body's trying to hang on to the weight. So I went and I had one day I had 3 meals. Weight went up about 4 pounds, and then I started eating big meal OMOD again, and I dropped one of the 4 pounds this morning. So I'm kind of doing what I guess you'd call a reset to get my weight to start going back down again. Although I'm looking more of it as a health issue, not a weight issue. And I do some days do 2 meals a day, especially on the weekend, when my wife is not at work. So it's really it's a lifestyle, and it's just so many things have changed and improved. It's like, okay, I don't have to mail order my clothes anymore. I can walk into the store and there's clothes that are even bigger than what I need hanging there. So the biggest issue I have is that most pant length in my size comes at like 30-inch, and I can wear a 29, but my inseam is a 28. So I usually will have to buy them, and then my wife will hem them for me. But it's just incredible. I can go into a store and buy shirts and no alterations. I don't have to mail order like a 5X or a 6X to fit. And then I can do my own grocery shopping. I did this year. I did. Used to, the neighbors would come over and clear our driveway for us. Well, this year I go clear the driveway, and then after I was done, if they weren't out doing it yet, I went over there and I started snow blowing their driveway. So that's and I probably would have done the other neighbors, except I have an electric one and the battery goes dead before I can do 2 driveways or 3 driveways, I say. But it's really, I enjoyed, and in the wintertime here in Michigan, you don't get a lot of opportunities to go out and walk. So I kind of, it's like, oh, we got a snowstorm. Oh, good. I get to have some exercise. That's instead of, oh, geez, I gotta go shovel snow. So it's a totally different attitude and a totally different approach to just life in general. I mentioned in one of my Dave Mack interviews that I used to had a tool to put on my socks. I don't need to do that, and I used to have my wife put my toenails because I couldn't bend my knees enough to do it. Well, now I can do that myself. So there's this independence, I guess you could call it, that is a side effect of, I guess it's a side effect of the side effect of losing weight. Because actually losing weight is a side effect of the diet. It's not really even though that's the main reason I went into it. I keep reminding myself, this is a lifestyle and the weight loss is a side effect. All these things are side effects of getting healthy again.
Wow. Yeah. It's really amazing. What you mentioned earlier, I feel like I'm already mouth watering listening to what you usually eat, maybe during the week, during the day, about the fried chicken, like covered in pork rinds. Yeah, those things I love. Also with the steak. That's really cool, and all the benefits you had about not having to mail your clothes. I think that's pretty cool. Because you mentioned earlier that you went from 6X to to a L, so that's a big change in weight. Wow.
I was going to say, actually, I think that the L's are getting a bit loose on me, believe it or not. I might even be able to go to a medium. I don't know, but anyway.
Wow, that's even better. Wow, that's really cool. I mean, you keep going down. Yeah, that's amazing. Ron, what is the hardest thing about being carnivore for you? Examples for me have been the social gatherings, right? The holidays with friends and families, the travel, and the cravings in the beginning. I battled it out for over a year, but eventually went away. But what about for you? What is the hardest thing about being carnivore?
Well, from day to day, it's not really hard at all. Because usually I have my meal in the morning as early as possible. And usually by then, my wife has a very early schedule. She actually opens the place up a lot of times, or she's the second one coming into the building where she works, and so it's so she's already in the summertime. She's already gone. Wintertime, again, she never drove before she got here, so in the wintertime I get up and drive her in the morning, and getting up at 5 a.m. is not an issue. It's like I usually don't have much of a problem sleeping once in a while, but I think everybody has those nights where they have trouble sleeping. But for the most part, it's not an issue. The holidays you mentioned, they were more of an issue. My friends that I know all know that I'm on this diet, so they don't think anything of me having just meat on my plate. It's like, yeah, okay, that's what Ron eats, because they see the results and they said, okay, we understand why you do it. And so I don't think it's an issue with them. The biggest thing is switching from eating a morning meal to having an evening meal. And usually that causes a little bit of weight gain the next day because you're not in ketosis while you're sleeping, or not most of the night. So that's the only issue, is it? But it's like, okay, the next day you go back onto your morning schedule and you're back on it again. So at first it was kind of a little bit of a struggle, but now everybody knows this is what I do. And I say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to have a longer fast before my first meal. So it kind of compensates a little bit for, instead I'll go from breakfast the one day to having maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, whenever the people come over, having, my wife always says, oh, we'll have an early dinner. And so, I have that extra portion of the day as part of a fast, and then I eat. But then again, you're not in ketosis while you're sleeping. The weight does go up, but then it reverses itself again. So, my lifestyle, it has not become an issue. Traveling, I have not done any traveling yet. I actually bought what's the fuel they use? It's one of these. It's a portable gas heater. Butane. I use propane for my grill, but this is like a butane, a little one, like a hot plate thing. And I said, okay, I bought that. I said, if we take a road trip or something, we'll have a cooler with some meat in there, and then we can stop at a roadside. And I said, take a pan with us. And I said, well, we can grill some hamburgers, at the park bench they have there. So that's my plan. I haven't done it yet, but you kind of plan for it though. And so I think I've got a plan. I don't know how that will work when I actually do a road trip. I haven't done one in years now. So, and actually I used to take a road trip every year with my wife. That was always a lot of fun. A lot of social and bonding time where you're in the car together you're basically together 24/7, while you're on vacation. And it's great. But I haven't done that in quite a few years now. So I'm looking forward to doing that again. I guess people claim too that you can buy just the burger patties at places like McDonald's. I haven't tried that yet. Because I do all my cooking at home. In the last 2 years, I've been to a restaurant one time, and that was from our anniversary. And I went to a steakhouse, and I'm like, okay, what I told my wife, what would you like to have as extra sides? Because I'm just going to eat the steak. And so, anyway, that's I don't know what else to say here. I don't know if you got another question for me, or.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool plan that you have, like bringing your own portable grill. Um, yeah, I think with the social gatherings, it's been, I think me, having the Filipino background and like going to holidays was a challenging aspect in the beginning. And it seems like the people around you are very supportive and understanding of why you're doing this. Did you face any skepticism at all, like from any of your family and friends?
Not really. I pretty much my wife and I basically kind of kept it quiet, except for just my friend who kind of introduced me to it. And I've got another friend that comes over too, and I told him about it, and I said, "Do you have any problem if we, just have steaks tonight or just have hamburgers?" He says, "No." And I said, if you want a bun, I've got these free Thomas's English muffins I can toast for you. And I said, I have no problem. If you want to stop at McDonald's and get some French fries to go with your hamburger or your steak before you come over, I have no problem you eating that in front of me. But they don't, so it's really not much of a social issue for me. I mean, prior to Carnivore, I was pretty much a recluse anyway. I mean, just because when you're 440 to 470 pound range, you don't have a lot of friends, and you don't feel like going out and being judged all the time for your size. And so that's some of the videos that I've done too, is about what life is like when you're at that weight. People have pointed out to me that, geez, I never even thought of that as being an issue, like trying to find a car that you're going to fit in. Okay. You end up getting restricted on what vehicles you can buy to use. Besides having mail order all your clothes and everything, trying to find getting a lawn chair that's not going to collapse when you sit on it. I've had situations where people will bring out these metal chairs, but they got little tiny legs sitting on the ground. And I went and one time I was at a gathering, I sat in the chair looked plenty big, and all four legs went right into the ground. And here I am sitting in the chair on the ground. So those are issues that, it seems funny, but when you're in that situation, it's embarrassing. And people don't think about those type of issues. The other thing too that comes to mind is that now I'll be in a parking lot and I'll see people that are twice my size walking into the grocery store, and you want to shout, "You don't have to live like this." Okay? There's a solution, Don't come out of the store with your Pop-Tarts and your soda pop and your so-called heart healthy cereal. I'm doing a heart shape here, but you're coming out with all the stuff that's making you feel bad. And but again, I didn't know. Your doctor's not going to tell you. That's the real sad part. And they're going to tell you, oh, you got to restrict your calories, and you got to eat vegetables and fruit, and have a balanced diet. And I'm still looking somewhere for a scale. I want to get one of these scales, that you put a certain amount of weight on. I said, I'm going to put 2 steaks, one on each plate on that scale. I said, oh, it's a balanced diet.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. With what you just said. I think the sad part I relate to, because example you gave was seeing someone who's overweight walking into the grocery, and then you want to shout out and say, you don't have to live like this, because it feels like a double-edged sword, because you're experiencing all this benefits from going carnivore, but at the same time, you can't really just push to anyone to do it. They have to really, research and learn it for themselves, and they have to decide whether they want to do it. And also with the doctor, they're not going to tell you to eat meat. They're going to tell you this is, what is recommended, the current medical approach. So, yeah. Ron, if you had to describe the impact of carnivore in your life, what one word would you describe it, and tell me why?
Oh, wow. I think for all the reasons that I mentioned, the mobility, the attitude, feeling so good. it's just been a life changer. It's like, I'm looking forward to the next how many years that I have, where before it was like, okay, well, if I die tomorrow, it's been a good run. It's just a 180 degrees in terms of attitude and in the way I feel, and just my approach to everything. It's kind of like I'm not a, I have a video coming out, Finding Your Voice, and it's a conversation I had with another carnivore online about, and he said, it's not that you just want to do it. He says, it's that you really have to do it. And so that's why I'm on shows like this, when someone invites me, and I do interviews. I seek out people to also do interviews on my channel. I haven't had that many, but I've had a few. And I don't know. It's just you enjoy being alive for a change. That's the big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I think that was the biggest motivation for me. Like the before and after carnivore. Yeah. It's just a massive change. You mentioned this in the beginning as well. Ron, knowing what you know now about nutrition and the carnivore lifestyle itself, if you can give an advice to someone who might have a similar issue, like weight problem or joint pains, and other things, but they're super skeptical about carnivore, thinking they're gonna get a heart disease. They have no clue. What would you tell them?
Well, usually I tell them, you know what, you need to do some research on this, and I'm always happy to direct them to some of the, I guess you call them influencers, but some of the doctors that are online, and I've done that in the past with people that have noticed the weight loss and kind of wanted to have an idea of what I'm doing. And I said, you need to do the research because everybody has different issues. Some people have purging, they have oscillate dumping, they have, I had constipation. Everybody has different issues based on wherever you're at right now. Do your research, and I know, like, Steak and Butter Gal, she has some videos of when she first started the diet, what to avoid. There's a lot of good videos out there that are everyday, real people that that can give their experience, and then you can adapt and modify the lifestyle to your own situation. That's what I've advised in the past, and I mean, I'm going to continue making that advice because I'm not going to, like, tell you got to do step A, B, C, and D. I'm not going to tell them that. It's just like, I'm not only am I not qualified, but I don't know as well as you do your own reaction to food.
That's very well said, Ron. Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to suggest to people to pretty much do their research. Yeah, because that's where it starts. Ron, how do you see carnivore for the future generation? Maybe also like in the next 5 to 10 years. Do you see carnivore lifestyle being in the positive light or negative light or both? Positive light meaning we're going to see more healing, more people doing podcasts, more people wanting to learn more about this community. At the same time, the negative would be meat prices going high. Maybe we'll see more censorship in the media, false information. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think as long as we aren't cut off of YouTube, I think and social media, I think the word will spread. People are going to have positive results. We're going to be influencing the people around us. They're going to see just from us bearing our own witness, even just by our appearance and attitudes. I think it's going to grow because I think it is. I think it is the right way to eat. And again, I tell people, if you want to be a vegan, go ahead, be a vegan. You know, I think we all can agree on that carbohydrates are the enemy. And you know, whatever plan works for you. And you know, I had to experiment even with the carnivore. You know, my timing of my eating and how much and what I ate. And so I think it's going to grow. I think it's going to grow. I think as time goes on, because I think this is the right way to eat. And you know, as long as we can get ourselves past the propaganda of the, I call it the medical industrial complex and big pharma, big food. They all kind of want our money, and they don't necessarily want our health. And they just want us to, we're going to give you symptoms, and we have a pill we can sell you to manage that symptom. And instead of actually fixing the problem at the root cause. So I think it's going to grow. I don't see it going away. You know, it's like, I know for me, I plan to eat like this the rest of my life. You know, I have, what advice would I give to people? Think about it. I said, I'll tell you a good place to start is, instead of using seed oils to cook your eggs in, try doing tallow or lard. See how you feel doing that and how much better it tastes.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, I like your outlook. I think I do think it's going to be both, but yeah, I agree with most of what you said. Ron, if people want to reach out or connect with you, where's the best place to reach you?
Well, I have my carnivore channel, and I also have my music channel, and I have email, which you can post on the show notes if you want. People can send me an email, and I'll be glad to respond to them. And sometimes I've already had a video that I made that's dealing with that. Sometimes I don't know. And sometimes it gives me ideas for another video, which is great to add to the content. So I really appreciate you bringing me on this channel. And you know, the more we can spread the word about how good this lifestyle is, you know, let's put it this way: I'm less likely to have a heart attack at 230 pounds than I am at 470.
Yeah. Ron, this is excellent. I'm going to make sure to post all your socials in the description so people can reach you. Ron, thank you again for joining me. I really enjoyed hearing your story and your carnivore journey. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me on.